First Chronicles, First Chronicles 16:37 through verse 43. Yes, through verse 43. David arranged for Asaph and his fellow Levites to minister regularly at the tabernacle, doing each day whatever needed to be done. Now, it was the priest's duty to do this. God called the priest's duty to do this. But this is important that David backs their duty. He doesn't call them out to do something different. He's like, God calls you to do this. You need to go do this. I'm going to make sure you can do this. There'd be some kings that would neglect them to do what they were supposed to, and they would have to do it in spite of the king. But David was all behind him doing what God had called him to do. We need to be like David. We need to support people in their callings. We need to back it. We need to do whatever they need to give them encouragement and help it out in any way we can. That way they can do what they are called to do, how they're called to minister on a regular basis. At this time, Asaph was a Levite. David would not have done this if he wasn't qualified as the priesthood. David may have saw, hey, he may have picked who he's like, you get along good with, you're called to be priest, I choose you because of his influence. He may have been swayed because of how they accepted him as king. Of course, him being king, he may have been like, well, you didn't really back me. You really backed God's decision to back me. God backed me, but you didn't. Do you really represent God? Asaph's my man. Type thing. This group included Obed-Edom, the son of Jethan, Hosea, and 68 of their colleagues as guards. Now, the reason why they would have had guards is because people were not supposed to go in certain areas of the tabernacle. Gentiles were not supposed to go in the tabernacle whatsoever. There were certain places that Jews could go in, and then there were certain places only the priests were only allowed to go in. And then there are certain places the priests were only allowed to go in one day a year. They had atonement. The holies of holies. They weren't even supposed to go there. He's only supposed to be one priest one time a year. Meanwhile, the old tabernacle roared on. So at this point, we see they got two tabernacles. David built a second one. David wanted to build a temple. He may have seen the need for something bigger than the tabernacle they had, so he's like, here, I'm gonna get another tabernacle, same function, same thing. Just you're not gonna be barbed with a bunch of people in such a small space. You're gonna have plenty of room because there's gonna be another one. Some are gonna go there, some are gonna go here. You got plenty of room. You got plenty of people to serve. Maybe there weren't enough room for them to live in there. Because the temple when it was built was massive. Tabernacle was just a small tent. David may have realized, hey, you're serving God. You're living in this little small area. You deserve better. So he may have built a separate tabernacle for this reason. The hill of Gibeon continued to be active. So we see the old tabernacle still being used. David his point wasn't to replace it. He was to not change God's plan at all. But perhaps help with God's plan. You got one tabernacle that would have housed the ark. But the true point of the tabernacle was to give offerings. Well, David's like, the only thing at this point that really required the give offerings is a priest. Yeah, we need a place where I said the Day of Atonement would have happened in the one with the ark and all them holy vessels. But doing ordinary sacrifice, sometimes they didn't even do it in the tabernacle. And that was David's point. He's like, we got all these people coming to sacrifice. We don't got enough room to do it all. So he builds a second one. Now the temple would replace both these tabernacles when it was built, because the temple would be big enough and be able to suit all these. David left Zadok the priest. Zadok was also a close person to David at that time, and a fellow priest ministered to the Lord there. They sacrificed burnt offerings to the Lord each morning and evening upon the altar set aside for that purpose, just as the Lord had commanded Israel. So it wasn't again, it wasn't a substitute. It wasn't, okay, we got this temple here, I want to go there. It's more like, no, let's just go to the tabernacle. It was never meant to be like, well, that was better. It's meant kind of like how we got Manual Church. They're both preaching the word of the Lord. Does it really matter which one you go to? No, it don't. Oftentimes churches ain't doing what they need to, and that is reason to leave. Reason to find somewhere that is. Yes, and I believe in a collective effort in the church, how the church, different churches could come together. So, but there are different churches. And different churches work for a purpose. And the Lord, it doesn't matter which church you go to. They should still be a connectivity and instead of a division. These priests were still connected to their service to the Lord. David's point was not to divide them, but allow them to reach people in ways they couldn't because of them being separate before. Maybe being in this, having a second tabernacle made it easier to access, because at this point there was no permanent temple. So they sacrificed. David also appointed Haman, Judith, and several others who were chosen by name to give thanks to the Lord for his constant love and mercy. So we see that how they gave that praise and thing earlier in the chapter. These men most likely would have been Levites, chose to do it. David would have went by what God instructed, and at that time God's instruction was to use Levites for certain purposes. So David most likely would have chose men of the tribe of Levi, not sons of Aaron, but there was other sons of Levi, and David would have chosen them. We see how he chose some of them to write psalms. We see psalms of Asaph. We see psalms of, most of the time these were Levite men. They used their trumpets and cymbals to accompany the singers with loud praises to God. And Jesse and sons were appointed as guards. So we see, yes, they're appointed as guards, so they are Levites. Levites were the ones to do this. And again, the purpose of the guard was to keep people who were not supposed to be in the tabernacle out of the tabernacle. There were certain regulations. Those that were unclean were not to go in. This was part of their job. At last the celebration ended, and the people returned to their homes. David returned to bless his own household. So, for us, most of us go to church. But what we get from church should never stop at church. We should be able to bring it home, bring it back in our own communities, bring it back when we go to work the next day. If we're going to church and it's just that service to us, it's missing the point. If we go to church because we have Him, it's going to mean a lot more. I go to church not because I'm expected to, but because I want to. Going to church for me is more than just church service. And serving the Lord is more than just going to a church service. David returned and blessed his own house. He would have did this by praising the Lord, by uplifting the name of the Lord, not by any other way. We need to do the same. We don't need to let our Christian walk start and stop at the church door, but let it go on in every aspect of our lives.